That statement is reminiscent of Nancy Pelosi when she was asked, what's the constitutional basis for Obamacare? And her answer was, are you serious? Are you serious? Look, there are a whole lot of politicians, sadly Democrats and Republicans in Washington, who haven't looked at the Constitution in a long, long time. And let me answer Speaker Pelosi. Yes, we're serious. The Second Amendment provides that the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, what part of shall not be infringed do they not understand? But it doesn't just end with the Second Amendment. The First Amendment is a big target in Congress. Set aside their love for regulating campaign speech because it seems every campaign elected official hates when the people dare criticize them. You know, tomorrow is St. Patrick's Day. My Irish mother recently reminded me that it is more than a little ironic that the national party that was the first national party to nominate the first two major party candidates to be president is today fighting a war on religious liberty. And it shows just how far we've gone to ask, what would a John F. Kennedy or an Al Smith say to a Democrat Party that says to the Catholic Church, change your religious beliefs or we'll use our power in the federal government to shut down your charities and your hospitals? There was a time when standing for religious liberty enjoyed bipartisan support. We need to get back to that time. There's the Fifth Amendment, which provides that none of us shall be denied life without due process of law, which somehow a drone from a sky hitting you in a cafe ain't my definition of due process of law. There's the Fourth Amendment that protects us from unreasonable searches and seizures. And I'll tell you right now, we need to repeal the NDAA. Because the federal government does not have the authority to indefinitely detain a U.S. citizen on U.S. soil without due process of law. There's the 10th Amendment, something our omnipotent federal government seems to have forgotten all about. 10th Amendment provides that the powers not given to the federal government are reserved to the states and to the people. How did we get a $16.5 trillion national debt? We have a federal government that thinks they have the authority to regulate our toilet seats and our light bulbs. We need to get back to the Constitution. And Article 6 of the Constitution provides that the Constitution shall be the supreme law of the land. There is an ongoing effort to undermine United States sovereignty. And I'll tell you, before I was in the Senate, I was the Solicitor General of Texas. We stood up to the World Court and to the United Nations. And we stood up to the President of the United States, who happened to be a Republican. And I went before the Supreme Court of the United States and said, no president, Republican or Democrat, has the constitutional authority to give away U.S. sovereignty. Now, we've seen Republicans willing to stand up to Republican presidents. My question to you is, where were the Democrats when Rand and the rest of us were standing on the floor on drones? But the second thing we need to do is we need to champion growth and opportunity. People are hurting right now. We are in the midst of what I call the Great Stagnation. President Obama is one of only two presidents post-World War II to face double-digit unemployment. And for the last 4 years, economic growth under President Barack Obama has averaged 0.8%, less than 1%. There is only one other period, post-1950, where we've had 4 years of less than 1% economic growth. That's from 1979 to 1983. Coming out of Jimmy Carter, following the same policies of out-of-control spending, out-of-control debt, out-of-control taxes, out-of-control regulation. That's the only other period. President Reagan came in facing that stagnation, and he implemented policies the exact opposite of Barack Obama's. In fact, it's interesting. 79 to 83, economic growth was 0.8%. Today, it's 0.8% for the exact same period. Because Obama didn't learn the lesson from Reagan that if you want to turn the economy around, you cut taxes, you reduce spending, you reduce the debt, and you don't send regulators like locusts to destroy small businesses and jobs. Do you know, if President Obama had followed the Reagan policies and we had seen the identical growth that President Reagan saw, inheriting the same lousy economy Barack Obama did, do you know that today we would have 7 million additional new jobs in America? Let me help make that a little more concrete. 7 million new jobs is the equivalent of giving a job to every man, woman, and child in Chicago, Houston, Philadelphia, and Boston. That's what we're talking about. And the stagnation under President Obama doesn't fall uniformly. Listen, if you so happen to be a tax lawyer or an environmental lawyer, you're doing great right now. But I'll tell you, the people who are hurting the most are those who are struggling and the least well-off amongst us. Under President Obama, Hispanic unemployment climbed to 10%. African American unemployment to 14%. Unemployment for young people, age 16 to 19, over 25%. That's why for a long time I've been championing what I call opportunity conservatism, which is that every Republican, every conservative should focus every policy on easing the means of ascent up the economic ladder. Explaining how our free market system has served as the most incredible engine for opportunity, for millions of people from all over the world to come with nothing and achieve anything. The policies of Barack Obama do not work, and the people that are hurting the most are young people, are African Americans, are Hispanics, are single moms, are those who are finding their opportunity shut off to reach the American dream. So we need to champion growth. Growth at every stage to get the economy booming. We need to repeal Obamacare. We need to repeal Dodd-Frank. Talk about a bill you don't have to read any further than the title. We need to eliminate corporate welfare. We need to build the Keystone Pipeline. We need to rein in the EPA. You know, in West Texas, the EPA is trying to use a lizard to shut down oil and gas production. You know, my view of lizards, they make darn fine boots. We need to audit the Fed. And we need to stop QE infinity. We need to abolish the U.S. Department of Education.